how's it going, guys? This is Taylor from Homestead, and in today's video I'm really primarily just walking you through what I do with my chicks. I just incubated and hatched. I think I ended up having 24 total, but I'm just walking you through what that looks like and how I do it. By no means am I telling you this is the way you should do it, but this is the way that I do it, and it works really well for me. So I'm just going to show you step by step what I do. Right now I'm counting how many has hatched. Watching this back, it looks like I'm being like rough with them, but I promise they're not as fragile as they seem. I'm also being quick because if I wait too long, they're gonna scatter about. I only have experience using this specific incubator. It's a cheaper, more affordable one from Tractor Supply. I forgot what the actual name is, but I got mine on Marketplace, new in the box, for 40 bucks, and I've used it at least a dozen times. When I first started out incubating my chicks, I would add all the water and do all the correct things for humidity levels. Over the last maybe 3 or 4 hatches, the humidity reader in my incubator has stopped working. The thermostat still works correctly, but the humidity reader does not. And I've bought ones on Amazon and put it in, and they kind of got different readings. So I ended up coming across dry hatching, which is now the only way that I do it. And essentially it's the concept that there's enough humidity naturally in our air. I guess it is probably depending on where you live. In South Carolina, we have high humidity, so I have been fine and have had great experiences with it, but there's enough humidity in the air that you don't need to add water. I don't even add water to the lockdown phase. I add zero water the entire time I'm hatching my chicks, and I've had very good hatch rates. So at this point, I only had 21, and I left the rest of the eggs to see if they would hatch. All right, we are in my shed. This is my tent. My pole's still janky, but it's working. I can link this down below. I do have like an Amazon affiliate link if you are interested in one of these tents. If not, any little tent would work. But I like this better than any of the other methods because it's easier to clean, and I can pack it up on the off seasons and put it away. I need to check my drop cord. I think it's shorting out. But this is what I do. I take one block of these pine flakes. Take one of those blocks and I spread all of it on the bottom of here. Just the whole thing, spread it out. And I do like a deep litter method. You could probably get away with doing 2 full things, and then you wouldn't have to change it out ever until they're out. I will leave my chicks in here for 3 weeks, and then I'll move them out to that like halfway chicken house. I'll show that in a second, just so you have a better view. This is just like a outside garden table. I've zip tied that little hanging piece up there so it doesn't move. Also clipped it just to help stabilize it. And the heat doesn't start till here, so you have a good bit of space. That's just like an extra guard in case it dropped down, so it wouldn't catch anything on fire being directly on the shavings. Anytime you put a heat lamp on anything, you just need to be very mindful that you're not putting it in a predicament where it can catch fire. So keep that in mind. I like to do a large water. I've done the small ones plenty of times, and you have to change them out so many times. Chickens are gross. Chicks are gross. They're all just nasty. So I have a bigger water. I would rather change out a water because it's dirty than because it's empty. So that's kind of like my method. I'd rather give everybody plenty of water than it run out and have to constantly change it because it's ran out. Here I have like a little wire thing that's raising this up a little bit. That helps it stay a little bit cleaner and them get less shavings in it. Many years I did a method where I took a pan and put it at the bottom, and then I took like some hardware cloth and made a little frame to raise it up onto that, and they can get onto the frame, but all the mess that they usually get in their water would drop down into that container. Justin Rhodes, I think, is where I got that method from. I just don't have it right now. I think it broke and I haven't had time to replace it. So if I do end up making another one this season, I'll show you what that looks like. But that is definitely the ideal way to go. It keeps everything clean. Any water that gets spilled lands in that bottom container. I do like a similar concept with the feed. So I have this 4x4. I usually just sit it on here, but this time I decided to screw it in so that they can't knock this off of here. But that kind of keeps it elevated out of the chips. I'll just kind of make like a little ramp. If I need to, I'll get a piece of wood while they're really small. That way they kind of have something to help them get up in here. But it just keeps it a little bit cleaner. I've done all of the smaller chick things. This actually had a top. It's just another like level of aggravation. So I just like to have something big that they can constantly get food out of. You'd rather have them have plenty and only having to be maintaining this when it's dirty than it constantly running out and you having to come out here multiple times a day to refill waters and food. So when I have the ingredients, I like to make something called magic water. I also got that from Justin Rhodes. It's adding apple cider vinegar and garlic to their water. It gives them this like immune boost. I didn't have it, so I didn't do it this time, but I did introduce each chick to their water, and that's kind of what I'm doing now. And chicks, even though they were just born, they're pretty smart. Their instincts kick in. They will find the food in the water. They'll find the warmth. Of course, you can do what you can to help them, but they usually figure it out just fine. Of course, I come out here a couple times a day, check on them, especially the first couple days. And then as they get older, I'll adjust that heat lamp higher and higher. By 3 weeks or so, sometimes I go a little later because I'm busy, but I will transition them to the outside area, and I'll show you that now. Also, I forgot to tell you one of the main reasons I prefer this. I've kept our chicks inside for years, and every other form of breeder, everything gets so dusty. They will scratch and kick so much dust up through the few weeks while they're inside, and it's a mess. This mesh netting keeps all of it contained, and that is amazing. Also, it has a second layer while they're young and they need more warmth. I'm going to keep this zipped, and you see them all crowded by the lamp. That's because I had them in a container while I was setting up the water, so they're a little bit colder because of that. But when I come back out later, you'll see that they're all kind of moving around, doing their thing. This is what I call the halfway chicken house, because this is where the fully feathered chickens go that aren't quite ready to go out with the big girls. I have a larger water there on a brick to kind of keep it elevated. I have a bunch of sticks for roosting bars. This is actually four-sided. I guess it's not four-sided. It's three-sided on the back, and then it has a roof. But it is open on the front, and it rained all day yesterday, so this is kind of like a nasty mess. But all of the shavings from the tent, I will dump in here, and they will spread them out. That way it's just not going to waste. And then if I need to, I can add some mulch or something to kind of give it a better barrier. It's usually not this wet. It did just rain, but if it stayed like nasty like this, I would definitely add mulch into it so they would have drier feet. This is something I just added because it was raining and I just wanted to keep some wind off of them. But while our temperatures are still not consistent, I have a heat lamp out here. Remember, be mindful for what you're putting a heat lamp on so nothing catches fire. But I have it this kind of TP'd way above it, so I'm not worried about it. This is just something while our temperatures are being kind of weird. And I will just throw feed in here and let them scratch around. This really is a bad example because it's usually not this soppy, but I mean, it truly did rain all day yesterday, so that's why. In a couple hours, as long as it's sunny, this will be dry, because you don't want them to be in like a wet mess like this for long. But it is good for them to be in like natural conditions, because that is what's going to happen when they're in the regular coop. And this is just like an old netting from a trampoline that I just put zip tied around this dog kennel, because some, depending on the sizes, like I have a Bantam in there, they can get out of some of the holes. So you just want to make sure everything's contained. I don't have anything ran under the bottom, but I do have all the perimeters like ran all the way to the ground. So that was my full chick setup. That's how I do things. I just check on them every day and just overall maintain everything. And on this specific day, it was a school day, so after we got school done, we decided to all go to walk over the bridge. One of my three sisters was in town, so we did this walk. I think we ended up walking 2 miles, which felt good. It was good to get some exercise. It's always a beautiful view. It's something we don't really take advantage of enough. And then I got to spend a little bit of time in the garden. I just did all of my maintenance stuff. I watered all of my plants, and then I did finally do something with those little red bricks. I laugh when I look at these videos because it looks like I only wear the same shirt. I have a couple of them, and they're like designated working outside shirts, so they're like filthy and stained, so you will probably see me in them a couple more times. So I decided to use these red bricks. I didn't have very many, so I just counted how many and divided it by 4. And I stole some from a different spot in my garden. I'll do something different there, and decided to just frame in this little herb garden area. All I have right now that's coming up is sage, but I'll just add to it. And I like when things are like structurally framed in. And then we enjoyed a fire after dinner, and the kids did some s'mores, and that was about all I got done productive-wise for the homestead. Like always, thank you for watching these videos if you made it this far. And if you are new and haven't done so already, please consider subscribing. It helps my small channel grow. And I will catch you on the next one. Bye, guys.